When I ask the most knowledgeable collectors what are the top 10 wines that you've ever tried or had in your life, one of them is inevitably the 1945 Mouton Rothschild. This wine has achieved its status and fame for giving such pleasure over the last 60 plus years. And it's probably a wine that made Chateau Mouton Rothschild elevate its status as a second growth to a first growth. In 1855, when the list of first growths came out from Bordeaux, Mouton Rothschild was not part of it. In 1973, after tireless years and years of diplomatic pressure, I'm sure, to the French government about how great Mouton can be, is able to transcend that status as a wine that may have not achieved it the first time, but eventually became one of the greatest properties in all of Bordeaux. Standing in a 100-year-old church in Chile. And this is actually where winemaking began. So in the 1500s, when the Spanish came here and Chile was part of the big Spanish Empire, vines were brought in really for religious purposes. And it was here in the church where the first wines of Chile were consumed as part of the whole Catholic ceremony. And it was through the Catholic Church and all of the priests that actually started planting vines all over Chile. So Catholicism and the church and religion play a very important role in the history of winemaking in Chile. Manent is a medium-sized family-owned winery with more than 100 years of history. The Viu family from Spain, José Miguel and his sister Lorena and his brother-in-law are still active and involved in the winery. I'm in a horse-drawn carriage in a winery called Viu Manent in Colchagua. And this is a very unusual way to tour the vineyards. Not that I'm complaining, this is a lot of fun. It's not the normal way, but it's because Viu Manent was founded with the idea of having an equestrian center. This is one reason to visit Colchagua, where you have a wine route that encompasses 17 different wineries, participating in different ways by offering unusual things and experiences, like this horse-drawn carriage, going through the vineyard, or come by the tasting room, tasting a range of wines. The community here is doing something very unusual, and they want to attract wine tourism, which is why Viu Manent has 40,000 visitors a year, about half of which are from overseas. One reason to visit Colchagua in Chile. José Miguel, thank you for having me here at your winery at Viu Manent. You've been one of the pioneers for opening up the wine route in Colchagua. Tell me, how did that develop? How do you see itself evolving? You're one of 17 wineries that offer tasting room experience and welcome visitors. Has that been successful? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, but was needed like 15 years, especially to some of those wineries to get convinced that was a good alternative for them. Not necessarily as an economical complementary activity, but as a platform to project their own brands. We sell more or less the 10% of the total sales of Viu Manent are sold here. not only in wine, but also in the services we give. So fortunately, we were not mistaken when we decided to do it, because I think that for small, no doubt that for small wineries it's a really interesting activity, but also for medium-sized wineries.
Yes. Is Chile doing enough in terms of wine tourism, do you think?
No,
for
not
the
really.
country?
No, not really. I mean, we have everything against. We are at the bottom of the world. We have no...
It is far.
Yeah. We have no neighbors like, I don't know, Mexicans, if they want to promote whatever they have. They have the United States, they have big markets surrounding them. Our surrounding markets are also producers, so Argentinians comes a lot to Chile, but of course not for our wines.
Yes.
So Brazil is like our natural market, but we are against conditions. Location in tourism is everything.
Right.
So people that comes to Chile is because they have made everything in tourism before coming to Chile, and they are coming to the country especially for special interest tourism. I'm the president of an initiative run by the government to promote as one of the three most important pillars of the tourism in Chile, the wine tourism. So they have noticed the importance of the wine tourism in Chile.
I guess what I'm trying to get to, more importantly, especially because our audience is from Asia, and they will not know the difference very much when they see on the label.
Yeah, the industry made some years ago was to try to put a more technical view into that, saying, hey, which are the most important factors, influencing factors in Chile for the style of the wines? The Andes, the central valleys, and the coastal valleys. And that works more or less the same in all the viticultures area. It's about 1,000 kilometers long.
Right.
It starts in La Serena, more or less. It ends in Concepcion. And everywhere you are, if you move into the coast, you have more fresher conditions, especially good for certain varieties. If you are in the middle of the valleys, it's normally warmer. If you move south, a little less. If you move north, a little more. And in the Andes, you have also freshness and a lot of very interesting volcanic soils. You know, so for consumer, I think that
That's
well,
more useful
it's probably not included in every Chilean label yet, but a good indication is coastal Chardonnay or coastal Sauvignon Blanc, or from the Andes, or from the heart of the valley, because it gives a lot of information.
Yes. What kind of advice would you give them in terms of how to experiment with the more interesting styles that are coming out of Chile, things that you're doing as well as other people?
Chile is suffering in a good way a revolution about trying to recover old stuff, old things, like regions that were important sometimes some years ago, and now are again. I'm talking specifically in this case about VOV or Itata in the south, where we have old Spanish varieties, some French varieties also, smaller properties in the hands of families that have been owning these vineyards for ages, for decades. So now there's a revolution about that in one hand. So recovering ancient vineyards and old traditions of winemaking. You know, there's another revolution about small boutique wineries or garage wineries or people who's trying to be different, really.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Jose.
Welcome.
I'm in Bella Vista, in central Santiago. This is one of the hip and happening neighborhoods where you see musicians, young and old people, having a glass of wine, drinking pisco sour, and enjoying the nightlife of Santiago. So if you want to visit and see what the nightlife is really like, come to a neighborhood like Bella Vista and enjoy. Santiago in Chile. And here you have over 80 different piscos on offer. You can get them chilled, as I have now, for the very best piscos, or you can have them in a drink. And pisco sour is one of the most popular cocktails here. Most of pisco production is in the northern part of Chile, and it's pretty highly regulated and considered high quality. So here's a traditional process in which pisco is made. After the wine, let's say Muscatel or Torrontés, is put in here, then it's heated to about 78 degrees. And when the alcohol fumes, evaporates, it gets chilled into this sort of container. And that becomes the spirit. This process is done about 3 times to make pisco. It's one of the most popular alcoholic drinks in Chile, and it's as old as wine if you look at the history.
for 4 days or 5 days. We had and all the berries are split. You know, the berry,
already?
yes, because it absorbs the water and it splits open.
Yes.
And basically, once that skin opens up, you're open for fungus and infections. So another rain on top of that, and we're in big trouble. So we're bringing in as fast as possible.
Oh, I'm sure many other people are doing the same.
Yes.
They're bringing in the grapes with this distemmer that's now spewing out all the rejected material that it doesn't want, and the tanks actually bringing in all the grapes with the juice that does want goes straight into the tank to my left. 2016 is going to be a vintage that one has to be very careful of in terms of choosing the producer, the style. It was a challenging vintage, and we'll have to see when it's in bottle how it looks.
I would love to show you a Sauvignon Blanc. It's from the Leda property, which is a very cold climate area, 10 kilometers from the ocean. This is a tank that was brought in on the 30th of March.
So
which
that
would
makes
be
it less than 3 weeks.
right about 3 weeks old. Yes,
Great.
where a normal fermentation would be about four weeks, would be normal for us, more or less, depending on the temperature of the fermentation. So this one is still fermenting, but it's just about ready.
Okay.
Actually.
So no residual sugar.
There might be a tad
Okay.
of residual sugar, yes.
When it's only 3 weeks old, this is the color of white wine. All white wine at
Yeah.
2-3 weeks old.
That's correct, because we have yeasts, you know, and some stuff floating around.
Yes.
So very cool climate. It's still developing. You know, it's still. What we will do after this with the tank, we'll sulfur it, top it to full, probably leave it on the fermentation leaves for about a month, maybe 2 months. I don't want to make a Chardonnay, but I do want to fill out the palate just a little bit.
On the nose, though, I'm expecting more grassy notes, but
Yes.
this is very sweet. It has
Yes.
more passion fruit, more floral.
One of the secrets, and I'm just lying, it's not a secret,
Oh,
but
tell us the secret.
this wine specifically we are actually making in the tropical style.
Oh,
We get certain tanks early that we go for the green style. This one we go for the tropical style, so that if we want to blend back and make something more complex that has some of the green notes and some of the tropical, we have components. It's all about building or making building blocks in order to make interesting blends.
Right.
If you make everything the same, then it's very linear, you know.